Well, Papa Jim, why are you taking Helen on a walk in the first place?
Thank you, Arlo. Happy birthday, Helen. Well, it goes back a long way, and it involves several other members of the family. So when our baby brother Don was born in 1954, our mum had infections in her fingers and in her toes, and so she had trouble walking and she couldn't put her hands in water. And she had this newborn baby to look after. And so, as she described to me, it was out of 7 children, Don's was the first nappies that Dad changed. And so he was spending as much time as he could looking after Don as a new baby to help Mum. So I was a 2-year-old at that time, and I had older brothers and sisters. But Angela was a bit bossy. She was just learning her management skills. Alec was away thinking about something else. And so the person who did a whole looking after me and taking me for walks was Helen. And so Helen has had a big influence on my walking all my life. And Helen is a good walker. The older ones, Gay and Mary, they were too old to be looking after little children. And so Helen was the star of my life when I was 2.
What have you got planned for a walk with Helen?
Well, we want to go for a walk down the Otaki River. Now, the Otaki River is central to the world of Otaki. And so that's where we can go walking up or down the river. Depends a bit on the weather and how we're getting on the day.
Why the Otaki River?
Well, the Otaki River is central to how Otaki lives. It's the community, the people who live here have always focused that it's the river that brings them here. The river floods and provides nutrient to all of the really good gardening ground around here. It brings stones which built the big concrete buildings of Wellington. It's interrupted travel because people can't get across the river. So the Otaki River governs life in Otaki. And the other thing about Otaki is that it's a place where Bernie taught. He taught at Otaki Primary for his country service as a teacher. So Otaki has an important part of Helen and Bernie's life together. And Otaki is now the centre of our lives.
What can Helen expect to see on the walk?
Well, it depends a bit on how we go on the day, but there's been a lot of work to restore the banks of the Otaki River. So the community has planted thousands and thousands of trees to help stabilise the banks and protect the town from being flooded. And so we can walk up and see all these plantings, and you can see which schools and which businesses and which families have done all the planting. And you can see the ages of the plantings, so you can see how they are. And so that we can walk up there and go for a walk, and then we can walk down the river. And again, we can see when we walk down the river the stop banks that have been built to try and keep the river inside its banks, the areas where they've excavated the gravel, and the regeneration of all the plantings around. And it takes us from the road all the way down to the sea.
Apart from you, who will be walking with her?
Well, we don't know yet. Depends a bit. There might be people like Reuben and Morgan and Arlo and Amaya and Patsy and Sonia and Mike and Ange and anyone else, and Helen might bring some people. We will assemble the multitude on the day as we think and as we can.
Thank you, Papa Jim, for your time.
Hang on, you've got another question.
What else will you guys do on the walk?
Well, when we get down to Otaki Beach, we will go along to La Chur, or the church. Now, this is an art gallery, come sort of cafe, set up by Hohepa Thompson. And Hohepa specialises in changing words and with a strong focus on using words as political messages. And so his art is built around reshaping things. His most famous sign was he put a big sign up at the entrance to Otaki saying Bro Taki. And so he has specialised in art with a message, using often expressions that just altering the words slightly. And so we will spend some time at his gallery down at the beach, and hopefully time for coffee and muffins and bits of food.
Thank you, Papa Jim, for your time. And that walk sounds like it will be a great time.